The Neil Prendeville Show, Cork's #1 talk show. Pure Cork on Red FM.
Keep the calls coming, 1-850-104-106. You can text 0868-104-106 or email neil@redfm.ie. We'll come back to more of those tweet comments and huge groundswell of support for Dr. Amanola Dusondi. And there are many, many hundreds that are there in absolute support for him. Now, we want to go to a pre-recorded item and just kind of a listener alert. This interview may spark some feelings that you may need to address professionally. We will give out some numbers at the end, and we'll do it just before we start this interview as well. The interview took place yesterday afternoon. A lady whose husband died 4 weeks ago, but also suffered from MS, and I'll let her tell the story. Some numbers. This is a pretty long interview. It's going to touch on some very sensitive subjects. So just in case, I'd like to give out some numbers before we start. Pieta House 24-hour suicide helpline is on 1-800-247-247, or alternatively, you can text HELP to 51444. That's 1-800-247-247, or you can text HELP to 51444. Now, the Samaritans.org is 116123, a 24-hour free phone helpline. Text, and the helpline is 087-260 1990. You can text 116123. The text line is 116123. The 087-260 1990 is the free phone helpline, and you can email Joe, just simply Joe @samaritans.ie. And so to the interview.
The Neil Prendeville Show.
With Tesco, where you won't pay more for the products that matter most to you. Tesco, every little helps.
Good morning, this is the Neil Prendeville Show with Mick Mulcahy, and good morning, Mary.
Hi, Mick. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm not too bad. I'm okay.
Okay.
At the moment. I'm alright.
Mary, we need to get straight to the core issue here. You lost your husband 4 weeks ago.
I did, yeah. It's a month today. Yeah, 21st of July. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm actually here in the graveyard now. I'm actually in the car sat in front of his grave. That's where I am now at the moment. And I didn't think I'd see something like that for a long time, you know.
Your husband suffered from MS?
Yeah, he had MS. He was diagnosed 3 years ago. And, you know, it was he never kind of recovered from his first relapse. And it was pretty aggressive, you know. But, yeah, he took his own life a month ago today.
Sheldon was originally from Peckham. Now, I know Peckham has been made famous in more comedic terms by Only Fools and Horses, but Peckham is a real-life area of London. And he was 35 years of age, made a life for you and him here as soon as you began dating. Mm-hmm. He moved here from Peckham, and you made Mallow your home.
Yeah, I met him here in Mallow. He'd moved here a few weeks before I met him, and lived with his uncle. Yeah, he was from Peckham. He loved Peckham. He loved London. And he was actually a real Del Boy himself. He was just like Del Boy. He was so funny, you know.
Sort of a Cockney Jack the Lad, was he?
Oh, yeah. He was just hilarious.
I suppose unusually, maybe not so unusual, but in his particular case, because there are instances of MS where suffering is off in the distance and can be, you know, expectations can be managed. Yeah. Medication can be introduced on a phased basis. But in Sheldon's particular case, he suffered from when he was diagnosed.
Yeah. Like you'd see a lot of people with MS can carry on working, and they don't suffer as much. Every single case is different. But Sheldon had a very aggressive form from the very beginning. A lot of damage was done in a very short amount of time, and he just never recovered, and he was in pain 24 hours a day, every day.
Was it more prolonged pain than any, radical seizures or episodes?
See, it's like nerve pain, so no painkillers will take it away. Just in pain from head to toe, kind of lost use of his legs for a while, and, you know, lost vision in one of his eyes, and like he went from working, he did furniture removals like all over the world, mainly in Spain, Mallorca, stuff like that. So he went from running up and down stairs, like carrying furniture, to not even being able to walk upstairs. You know, so in the end, like, we were we're still in emergency accommodation, but it's a house. We were made homeless in June last year, just 3 months after we got married. And so he slept downstairs on the couch because he couldn't make it up the stairs to go to bed. That's how bad his legs were. But our 4-year-old son then was like really close to him, so he'd sleep on the couch with him some nights, just pull over the little armchair and they'd sleep together, because they were just like, he was like Sheldon's shadow, you know.
Yeah, it's that lovely father and son age that they grow out of so fast, don't they?
Yeah, yeah, they really do, yeah. They just loved each other so
Did
much.
you guys become homeless because of his inability to work and no income coming in, or...?
No, nothing to do with that at all. The house that we were in, the lady needed it back because her son was coming home from America, and she needed it for her son and daughter-in-law. So we couldn't find anywhere to rent in Mallow. So we were staying in hotels, and we stayed in my parents' house, and then eventually through a friend of mine, we found like a 3-bedroom house in Mallow. And because of the unusual circumstances with Sheldon having a disability, you know, we were able to rent that as emergency accommodation. So at least, you know, we were able to kind of live kind of a more of a normal life than some people who are still in hotels, and which is really, really hard, you know.
Okay, did you have any indication that mentally or emotionally there was a slippage, or that his outlook on life was becoming a little more restricted or not so forward-looking?
You know, you would think that there are no signs. You're like, he didn't show any signs, but then when you think back, see, because he was so ill, he'd often cry, you know, behind closed doors. So, like, that Sunday morning, the day it happened, the day he passed away, like, he was crying at the breakfast table, and he was just saying, I know I'm getting worse, you know, I know I have more lesions on my brain. But he often said that, you know, and I hate my body, and I feel trapped in my body, but you know, I was saying, I know, love, you know, I'm gonna email your neurologist in the morning and talk about the medicinal cannabis products that are now available for patients who have MS. But the email that I sent to his neurologist the following morning was a lot different than what I thought it would be. I had to tell him that Sheldon took his own life, you know. But yeah, when you very little signs, like, you know, not. Yeah. That's why I wanted to say, like, not everybody cries out for help, and I just want people to know that if they're feeling that way, please, like, just take that extra half an hour, take that extra 5 minutes. Just, you know, you're destroying so many lives. You're not only hurting yourself and taking your own life, you're literally passing on the pain, and it's actually absolutely horrific. It's my worst nightmare, and I never thought I'd ever go through something like this my whole life. Like, our whole life have been absolutely blown apart, and there are 7 children now, 4 of my children and 3 of his own children in England as well. He's 3 other young children in England. 7 children altogether that are going to grow up without a father that absolutely adored them, he loved them so much. And I know, like, that even if he was thinking straight, even the love for the children alone would have stopped him. So I don't know. I just don't know what went through his head, and can't believe he's done it. But like, I'm absolutely, our world has just been shattered into a million pieces, and there's no way of fixing it anytime soon. You know,
your children are 13 or 4, 2, and 3 months.
Newborn. Yeah, Rose was 10 weeks when he took his own life.
And Scott is now 13.
Yeah, Scott is my son from a previous relationship, and he'll be 14 now this Saturday. And he called Sheldon dad, like Sheldon had been in his life since he was 8 years old. And it took him about 2 years.
Discovered the tragedy, didn't he?
And it's the first man he ever called dad. You know, it's the only dad he ever knew. And it's Scott that found him, you know.
How has that affected Scott?
He's very quiet. He's not really talking about it at all. I'm worried about him now. I'm worried about my own son. I know, you know, you'd feel like he's I'm just going to be worried about my own son for the rest of my life now because of what he witnessed. And like, I arrived about 10 minutes afterwards, so you know what I witnessed was horrific, but Scott was on his own with him for about 10 minutes, you know, before the first responders arrived. So I've been in touch with Pieta House for counselling, you know, and they're amazing. So if anyone out there, you know, has any dark thoughts, or you're even thinking about harming yourself, make that call, send that text, you know, just... That's
your message, really, isn't it? You want people to know there are other options and to always ask for help. Oh, my God,
there's always... I know you hear people saying it, and you'd be like, yeah, there's always a way out, whatever, you know. There literally is... Life can change in an hour, in 5 minutes. Your life can turn around. And things can get better, and they will get better. They always can get better. There's no need for this. It's absolutely devastating. The wave of destruction that comes after it and goes through the family and friends is absolutely horrendous. It's your worst nightmare. I've never in my life wished for time to, you know, to be able to turn back time. You wake up every day, you think you're dreaming. It's actually not even a dream. You think you're having a nightmare, and you're waking up from it every day, and then you realise it's actually real, and everything hits you again, and you feel physical pain. It's so painful that it's actually, you feel physical pain from the hurt it leaves behind.
Your friend said you were due to move into a new home and thought you would be picking out furniture and not a coffin.
Yeah.
That's the stark reality of what's happened.
That's it. I mean, we were offered a bungalow from, you know, because of Sheldon not being able to do stairs and stuff. We were offered a bungalow after being homeless for over a year, and we were so excited, and we actually were hugging each other and crying with happiness, and we'd go over and we'd keep checking, you know, to see was it ready, and I'd say we were probably about a month off from moving in, and we were talking about the furniture we'd get, and instead of picking out new furniture for our new home, I had to go down and pick out his coffin with my 2-year-old son, you know, holding my hand, and you're standing there and it's like, oh, what coffin am I going to get him? You know, instead of what couch are we going to get? You know, we've only been married a year. It's absolutely just...
That month on the timeline is now up, I suppose, Mary. Are you going to still move into that premises?
I don't know. I haven't even been speaking to the council. I don't even know. Like, I tried to get through to them, but there was... I got through to an answer phone, but I don't know if they even know about him. I'm assuming they are, but some people still don't even know that Sheldon's gone. But I have a local counsellor anyway will be taking care of that. But that house is designed for somebody with a disability. You know, it's got a wet room, wheelchair ramps, widened door frames. I mean, you know, I'm not gonna, if there's somebody with a disability waiting for a house, I'm not gonna take that house before somebody with disability, because I know what it's like to live in a 2-story house with someone with a disability and there's no bedroom or washing facilities downstairs for them to access. So, like, I'm not gonna jump in front of somebody. So I still need to discuss that with the council, you know. I mean, surely they'll have a 2-story house somewhere around town that, you know, they own quite a lot of properties, but I'm not prepared to jump in front of someone with a disability and take a bungalow, you know.
Yeah, everything must be so stark and so raw still for you now. And I know you didn't do it, but your friend Gillian set up a GoFundMe to help support you, and that's at gofundme.com/F/Mary-and-Kids-Foundation. I'll call it out again. It's gofundme.com/F/Mary-and-Kids-Foundation. And hopefully that'll be very well supported in order to ease the burden as you go forward with the 4 children.
You know, I just thought it'd be nice even for, I don't know, like, obviously Scott, the 13-year-old, and our 4-year-old Cian, like, they're the only two who will remember. Even Cian, like, will have very vague memories of him, you know, as only being 4. Like Sheldon, our 2-year-old, who's named after him, like, he knows that there's something missing. He doesn't obviously know about death and that Daddy is gone, but
and your 3-month-old is with you in the back of the car now.
Will never know her father, and
she's with you now.
But
yeah,
it's just, you know, just something for, like, GoFundMe is more for the kids, just to even do something lovely with them, take them somewhere nice, just something. They really deserve it. And like Scott, what he's been through, most people will never, thank God, ever have to experience in their whole life. But we just have to be strong and go forward and try and live our best lives for Sheldon and in memory of him. And we just, you know, want them to know how much we love him and how much he was appreciated. And, you know, he really was just an amazing man, and everyone who met him loved him. But it's just not the answer. It's not the answer at all. There's no need for it. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
I get the impression Sheldon knew that every day anyway, that how much he was loved and how much he meant to you all.
You tell him all the time. He really was, like, such a special person. Like, he could walk up to somebody and insult them, and he'd do it in such a way that they'd end up being best friends. Whereas if I did it, you know, I wouldn't get away with it.
Some people have that ability, don't they?
He was just so funny. Yeah, so funny, so lovely.
Mary, you are strength personified, and there's a very noble aspiration of coming on the air to, you know, to warn other people who might be affected. It's necessary. Yeah. I need to know, just in case anyone's been affected by the content of this interview, mention that Pieta House is a 24-hour suicide helpline. It's on 1-800-247-247, or you can text HELP to 51444. The Samaritans are available at 116123. That's a 24-hour free phone helpline. You can text 087 260 9090, 087 260 9090 for standard rates, or you can email Joe at samaritans.ie. Finally, there's a depression helpline, aware.ie, on 1890 303 302, 1890 303 302, 7 days a week from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Very, very best wishes to you in your continued struggle. I know I've disturbed you in the graveyard. I know you're a little...
No, you're fine.
Little girl is sleeping in the back of the car.
I find most peace, but it's very surreal, but it is. Graveyards are, you know, they are very peaceful, and, you know, it's someone's last resting place. But no, you're not disturbing me at all. Not a bit. No. And thank you for everything. Thank you for listening. And I just think it's really important that people realise that, you know, they feel alone, but somebody loves you, and just reach out, please, you know.
Mary, thank you for reaching out. Thank you for speaking. Thank you for caring.
Thank you so much.
Very best wishes to you and your children going forward.
Thanks so much. You're so good.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Isn't that just the most amazing woman? Very, very strong. That was recorded yesterday afternoon, and I know it's only a small thing, but from a broadcasting perspective, she knew that this interview was being broadcast today. And there in the graveyard at Sheldon's last resting place, her 3-year-old daughter in the back of the car, and talking about such an emotive subject as she did and caring for people, she still had the presence of mind to say, even though it was yesterday, today, the 21st of July. So the 3-month-old baby still asleep in the back of the car. Just picture the image. And she still had the presence of mind, knowing it was being broadcast today, to say today is his anniversary, the 21st of July. So my heart goes out to her. Mary's husband died 4 weeks ago, and he suffered from MS. I only hope we can find something in the Neil Prendeville goodie bag down the line to do something special for the 13-year-old, her little son, Scott, who came upon the tragedy and must be impacted by that. So hopefully we'll find something over the course of the next few days or weeks to give that young man who must be going through so much, a little treat. Those numbers again, once again, 1-800-247-247 for Pieta House. Text HELP to 51444. The Samaritans have a 24-hour free phone helpline, 087-260-9090. And the MS info line, because we didn't give it out during the interview, the multiple sclerosis info line is 1-850-233-233. 1-850-233-233. We are getting some communications wondering, can you please repeat the GoFundMe so we can find it and give some support to Mary and her family? It's www.gofundme.com, www.gofundme.com/F/Mary-and-Kids-Foundation. GoFundMe.com/F/Mary-and-Kids-Foundation.
Cork's #1 talk show, The Neil Prendeville Show on Red FM.
You can keep your calls coming to 1-850-104-106. Our text line is 086-8104-106, and our email is neil@redfm.ie. Now, we mentioned some helpline numbers there, Pieta House, the Samaritans, the Depression Helpline, and getting many texts on Mary's bravery. But Sylvia O'Driscoll-Wong joins us on line 1. Good morning, Sylvia.
Good morning. How are you?
No, you're very good to come on. I think there is a number change impending. Is that correct?
No, the number you gave was 1-800-247-247, but our own number above in the house is 021-4395-333, and anybody who is in need of immediate support should ring that number and you get straight on to our clinical support staff. So that number is 021-4395-333.
Oh, I beg your pardon. Okay. Happy to clarify. Your old number is correct, 1-800-247-247, Samaritans on 087-260-1990, but your number is 021-439-5333. Tell me about the work. Tell people about the work you do.
Well, I mean, I'm working in Pieta House for the last 5 years, and we've grown exponentially in the last 5 years. We've 40 staff members working, and we work with people who are presenting on a daily basis with self-harm, suicidal thoughts, or maybe have made an attempt at suicide. And also they present with all three. So you have self-harm, suicide ideation and attempted suicide. But we also have the bereavement service, which is a vital service. And Pieta House is known predominantly for suicide prevention. But the suicide bereavement service has been introduced about 2 years ago, and it's vitally needed in Cork. And its profile is not as much raised. So that's the reason I'm coming on. I think it's vitally important that the people of Cork know that in the event of a suicide, that they need to ring us, because we actually have counsellors in-house who can work directly with the families.
Mm-hmm. We've had many interviews from Pieta House workers before on air, and it does, I think, tend to focus on prevention. And it does counsel against, as Mary was doing very bravely there, that there is more hope, there is another way. But of course, that's not always successful. And then there is a bereavement that needs to be dealt with as well.
Absolutely. Now, I listened to Mary's interview, and it was absolutely heartbreaking to listen, because a lot of the words she used are the words we hear every day. She used the words like passing on pain, blowing her world apart, waves of destruction. And that's what the families are left with. They're left with absolutely decimation of lives. So yes, Pieta House is there to prevent suicide, but there are times when we have to pick the pieces up, and we are there for that. And I think it's important that the people of Cork realise that the service of Pieta House Cork are being paid by the people of Cork. It's there for them. They need to pick up the phone to us. They need to utilise us. We have a bereavement coordinator called Eileen. Eileen will be there to support them. We also recently have acquired an SBLO, Suicide Bereavement Liaison Officer. Now, her name is Geraldine, and Geraldine can go into the families immediately in the aftermath of a suicide. Now, this lady has just come on board, so in the immediate aftermath of a family, if a family is in need of immediate support, they should ring us up, and we will get Geraldine down to the family and bring in immediate support to the family. And that's an invaluable service. And from there, she'll assess the needs of the family, and if they need to come straight into us, we will then see them.
Okay. Have you many families availing of your support in a post-suicide nature?
You see, I heard Mary's interview there, and I was very moved by it. And unfortunately, it's not uncommon. We've had many families come into Pieta House. We have grandparents, we have husbands, we have wives, we have children. So this is not uncommon, but it is absolutely tragic. It is absolutely tragic when you see the broken lives coming in the door of Pieta House into the therapists. It is an absolute tragedy for these families, and it takes a long, long time to learn to live with this pain, because they don't ever live, they don't get over it. They have to learn to live with it. So that's the work that we do above. We bring in immediate support, and particularly for the young children, when they have lost a loved one to suicide, the confusion they feel, there's a huge sense of isolation, and unfortunately there's still this awful stigma, and families carry that, and that's very scary, and it's very, very isolating.
Do those that are left, Sylvia, carry some sort of a torch because there were flashbacks in the past, there were arguments in the past, I could have done this better, I should have done this better?
Oh, absolutely. Any person that comes into us in the aftermath of a suicide, they'll always carry a sense of blame. Always. Because they'll go back, they'll root through their memories, and any of us will find an episode in our lives where we've had a fight or we've said things that were hurtful. Any one of us will find those. But they'll grasp onto it because the experience of suicide is so devastating. They're trying to make sense of it. They're trying to figure out why. Why did this happen? So that's why it's so important that they come in, they talk about the relationships they've had with the person they've lost. Because if you can imagine the isolation they're feeling, a lot of people do not have the same support that they would normally get from a death that's not suicidal. So they have limited support, and they're left tortured in their own minds, trying to go back over the past, seeing what mistakes they've made. Mm-hmm. So they're looking inside themselves, what did I do wrong? And we all know that only the person that dies know the reason that they've done this. They're the only person that know the reasons why. But the families are left in a tortured state, and unfortunately for a lot of them, they themselves can actually experience suicidal thoughts, and that's one of the fears that we have. So that's why it's so important that they reach out and let us help them, because grief and being bereaved through suicide is one of the most painful experiences anybody will go through.
I could tell, talking as I did to Mary, that she's struggling still. I know it's only 4 weeks, so of course she would be. And in this circumstance, through his multiple sclerosis, Sheldon was racked with pain and was having a very fastly deteriorating quality of life. But she's still struggling with the why.
Well, absolutely. I mean, as I said, it's for any of us. I mean, it's incomprehensible that somebody would choose to die. It's something that's not spoken about. It's very rarely discussed. We hear it in Pieta House every day of the week. We work with those who are contemplating wanting to die. So for us, it's something that we are aware of, that we are comfortable talking about. We're open about it in Pieta House. For a lot of people in the general public, it's a very scary topic. Mm-hmm. Mary and a lot of others, after 1 month of dying by suicide, is in shock. In no way has the fullness of the experience dawned yet. Because it's an ongoing process, and as well as that, for a lot of women like Mary, she's left to pick up the pieces of her children, so a lot of women will go straight into action, minding their children, looking after them, comforting them, and they themselves can be forgotten. And that's why we're there. We have to support the mums that are left behind, because they themselves are grieving as well. And
can I be very forward here, Sylvia, and make a suggestion that you can tell me I'm wrong if I'm wrong. I would suggest that for all the good work that Pieta House does in suicide prevention, that we might be having with this discussion a better effect on preventing suicide than all of that work, because by highlighting the services for the bereaved, you may be giving those who are moving, from the spectrum of depression to suicidal thoughts, course to rethink. And I think this bereavement post-suicide counselling is something that Pieta House should be continuing with interviews like this, and getting the picture of the families picking up the pieces afterwards out into the public discourse.
I think I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I work myself with people who are bereft through suicide, and I can tell you honestly, it is one of the most painful experiences even for a therapist. When you sit across and you look into the face of absolute devastation, your heart breaks for them. It absolutely breaks for them. There's a sense of helplessness in the therapists themselves. I mean, what can we do? But there is huge comfort for the bereaved in being held in that pain. So there is a way through. Grief is natural. It's inbuilt into us to actually heal. So that has to get across. We will heal from this. You have to learn to live with it. But the most important thing to get out there, and I agree with you, is that people do not realise the absolute devastation that's left behind. It's invisible. And on top of that, a lot of people are frightened to actually talk about it. They're frightened to go up to the likes of Mary and say, "Are you okay? I heard about what happened," because suicide actually instills fear and terror into a lot of people. Mm-hmm. So they'll pull away from it. It's our natural instinct when we're not familiar with something. We don't want to talk about it. We don't, because it could happen to us, and we don't want to hear about that. So the conversation has to be opened up, and I think it's very brave of her to come on the radio.
Absolutely.
Because when I heard her speaking, I mean, I'm sitting here, I could feel myself becoming quite upset listening to her, knowing that she's there with her child, knowing what she's gone through, and yet knowing that there are so many people who are in exactly the same position.
And in the graveyard, which she says is a place of peace.
A place, yeah.
Sylvia, I'd love to give your number out again. It's 0214 395 333. 0214 395 333. Once again.
Absolutely. And the most important thing is to realise this is a free service. There's no charge and there's no need for any referral. It's literally a phone call. So just pick up the phone to all of us, and we will be there to support them.
As you are always.
I really appreciate the time to come on. I'm really glad to be able to talk.
You're more than welcome. Sylvia O'Driscoll-Wong, Cork Centre Manager of Pieta House. Thank you and good morning. Pieta House, thank you and good morning.